One must grow spiritually before they can awake Kundalini. Before you begin doing something, you must get a clear understanding of what you are going to do. Are you ready to perceive as much as only 1% of cosmic consciousness? Now, many people tend to raise Kundalini mechanically, and it won't do any good. For me, Kundalini is an aspect of what we call the Mother Universe. This is Shakti, the initial energy. One must work very hard to awaken this Divine Mother's energy, Shakti, this universal Shakti. But God is so merciful that it won't take you long. What you need is sincerity. Good afternoon, Master. Good afternoon. Today I would like to talk about Kundalini. What is Kundalini and where is this energy hidden? Kundalini is the total of all your efforts in various incarnations. That's how I'd explain it. If I say that this is nothing but energy, it will be incorrect. But all people perceive it as energy. For me, Kundalini is an aspect of what we call the Mother Universe. This is Shakti, the initial energy. When we say that Kundalini awakens in a person, we mean that their consciousness changes. The Creator reveals Himself in the form of this energy that is manifested as Shakti, because Shakti and Shiva are one and the same power. Essentially, the Creator is this energy, and He expresses Himself as special experiences that arouse in a person and trigger changes in their consciousness. This is what Kundalini is for me. Some people say, and some sources describe Kundalini as a rising energy. But to my mind, this is not quite ethical. It is an incorrect definition. Kundalini does not rise, it awakens. This is totally different. That's why different practices appear, and the attitude to it is different too. Think about it. Rising energy and awakening energy. It's clear that they require different approaches. That's why different systems were set up. This is why I believe that Kundalini awakes. Its awakening is a result of your spiritual practice. This is sadhana that lasts many years or many lifetimes. Where is it located? It is believed to be found between the Muladhara chakra and the Svadhisthana chakra. Try to find this place. Try to find the place where the universal power is in latent form. People understand it literally, but this energy does exist, and it manifests when the person is ready. I can describe it as being located between the first and second sexual centers. It is depicted as a serpent coiled into 3.5 circles and so on. It's nothing but symbols. The whole world is drowning in symbols. There are people who try to achieve this through science. I'm talking about the science of God realization, not the science that everyone is used to. These people understand how it feels and what is going on. I'll say it again. So-called Kundalini is the outcome of your effort, that you have focused in the right direction. It's a prerequisite for it to manifest. Yes, this is a living, self-aware energy. This is the life force, Prana, Shakti energy. It is accumulated within us, but on a very subtle plane. It doesn't exist on the physical plane, nor on the etheric plane, nor on the astral plane. However, it can manifest on every plane. Its assemblage point that we talked about before is on the spiritual level. It's where it is accumulated. Only then will it reveal itself. Otherwise, it would be so easy to find the Mother, the Divine Mother. You would see her everywhere you looked, and she would be ready to talk to you. No, it doesn't work. One must work very hard to awaken this Divine Mother's energy, Shakti, this universal Shakti. But God is so merciful that it won't take you long. What you need is sincerity. Are prana and kundalini one and the same thing? If not, what's the difference? Kundalini is the total of all energies. It's a harmonious coexistence of all types of energies: prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, the 5 vayus that form the universe. They are within us, taking control over these energies, cleansing and transforming them, and merging all powers. All energies into one is Kundalini. In other words, the Divine Mother, or Satpurush, has manifested himself as the Holy Spirit, or Shakti, the transcendental energy. I'm only defining the terms now to make it more clear. All this is Shakti, the initial energy. Adi Shakti is the first immemorial initial power. How has this power manifested itself? As prana. Prana divides itself into 5 energies. When you transform the 5 energies within yourself, Shakti awakes in you and manifests in the body. People are often confused about Kundalini, thinking that this is a rising energy. They say that the energy is rising through the channel and so on. They mistake this initial powerful force for the power that is latent within the body and serves as an additional source of energy. But now we are talking about Shakti that moves from bottom to top as a flow, similar to the process of vessel filling. You pour water into a bottle and it rises upwards to fill the vessel. The same happens within us. When speaking about an awakening power, of course, we can say that this is Kundalini rising. And here it is important to understand how it awakes and how everything happens. How can one raise what is a universal whole? There are certain processes going on within us that we perceive as the rise of this power. What images are evoked in the mind when we think about the ascension of consciousness or soul? Ascension is a Christian term. It means that you rise as a balloon. It follows that it wasn't there, but was here, and from here it rose. Or vice versa. If it has gone down here, it is no longer here. This is a contradiction. These are all mind games. This is why the technique, spiritual initiation, and the technique that triggers such things is passed on as something very sacred. This is initiation. If we talk about there being a kind of force, a snake force, an energy that is dormant, and if you, for example, fast, the Kundalini begins to awaken. Yes, this energy starts to awake. Why? Because when we are fasting, when we experience hardships, when we engage in spiritual practices, when we do vipassana, these energies awake. At these moments there comes an opportunity of releasing prana, the life force. Here, the storytellers say that the serpent is woken up and is trying to express itself. It's an allegory. But in reality, this energy is released. That's why I advise everyone to follow the scientific path of God realization. The science is Kriya, the self-awareness that you develop. You immerse into it. You explore yourself from metaphysical, physical, and psychophysical perspectives. And everything becomes clear to you. Now there are many centers and practices that help raise Kundalini. Some people call it rising, others say it's awakening, and there's an entire branch of yoga, Kundalini yoga. What techniques would you recommend to raise Kundalini? What can you say about Kundalini yoga? I recommend to practice descending Kundalini. This is a third type of practice. There are 2 major types. These are raising and awakening. And again, these are mind games, spiritual games. And I can show you a third type, a descending Kundalini energy that flows into our life. And this type will also be disputed by some people. Someone else could come up with a 4th type. But it's not the way things should be. Speaking about such a serious concept as Kundalini, in this case we treat it as a concept. Or about what we call Kundalini awakening. We must adopt a highly spiritual outlook on this process. Because now many people tend to raise Kundalini mechanically, and it won't do any good. To raise Kundalini means to shape consciousness, the consciousness of atoms, to shape consciousness in every cell, to awake on the cellular and intercellular level, to awaken consciousness in atoms. The entire process of transformation happens on the atomic level. So why should we discuss a technical aspect? It's what we do when talking about schools and branches. I don't want to downplay the merits of these schools. It's karma of those who get there. Despite their aspirations, they are trapped in the nets and delusions that their mind has set. Nobody's to blame but them. There are traps everywhere. Sai Baba says, I have set a lot of traps in this world. People need them to have a basin full of all this, and in the end understand that there is only one God, and He is omnipresent. This is why I don't recommend any schools that doesn't teach disciples about God, but about certain manifestations, opportunities, and abilities. I'm not speaking about Kundalini schools now. I'm not speaking about any school. I won't indicate any particular school. I want to say that if a yoga system doesn't teach to develop spirituality from the perspective of going to God, and this is an inner process, I'll never recommend to practice this type of yoga. Because there is a danger of getting lost or even perishing along the way. I know it from my own experience. In my time, I had to get such Kundalini enthusiasts out of trouble. I had to get TM meditators and merely sick people out of trouble. I can't say the system is incorrect, but I think their teaching methods are improper. It may be a good system, and the master may have taught the right ideas. However, it brings up questions. Maybe the disciple has got it wrong. But I came across such situations more than once, more than twice. So please be aware of mechanical Kundalini stimulation. Because one must grow spiritually before they can awake Kundalini. Try to force an apple to grow fast, to eat it as sweet and delicious as you like it. It takes time. You can make it ripen faster, but you'll have to create special conditions. What is the danger of Kundalini awakening? What happens to people's body or mind or energy? The simplest possible outcome, which is not very terrible, is that you will just overstrain your energy channels. You can burn some of these channels down. What can happen to someone whose channels are not prepared for the load? What can happen to wires if a high current is forced through them? They start to produce smoke and burn. The same can happen to people. I know people who burnt themselves in this life. And in their next life, they won't practice yoga. At least in their next incarnation, because, or even in this lifetime, because they've recoiled from it. They were on the verge of death. There must be someone to control these processes. You see, people who practice Kundalini raising, and here I emphasize that they raise it, they don't even know anything about anatomy. I'm not speaking about all people, but the majority. They know neither metaphysical nor physical anatomy. They don't know basic things about the human body. They don't know what they are prepared for, but they are obsessed with the idea they want to raise energy. Why? I ask them, why do you raise Kundalini? Why do you do it in the first place? Well, this is cool. We'll attain cosmic consciousness. And then I say, are you ready to perceive as much as only 1% of cosmic consciousness? To see it, to experience it. Are you ready for this? Do you know what this is? Another example, Samadhi. Master, give us Samadhi. Give us Samadhi. But what does it mean, give us Samadhi? Okay, but are you ready to die? And they ask, okay, what are the conditions? Do I have to die to experience Samadhi? I reply, no. But Samadhi refers to death. Are you ready to die? And they say, no, I'm not ready. Why do you ask for Samadhi then? Because I want to be cool. I will attain Samadhi and everyone will know that I have experienced it. It's a primitive example, of course, but sadly it happens. because people don't know where they head to. But here's an interesting thing. Sometimes people attain a deep, rather deep state, which is not samadhi, but just a state when a person is ready to transcend. It happens. And then they call me. They come to me with their eyes wide open. I felt something that scared me, and so on. You see, you were scared because you were not ready for samadhi. Samadhi means losing your identity altogether. Your mind was scared, and you veered to the side. Now you need time to prepare yourself for leaving your consciousness. The danger of Kundalini is that it can make you lose control over all your attachments, over everything that blocks your consciousness as anchors. Various stumbling blocks, desires that can act as anchors too. There are many of them. And it is very dangerous to mechanically raise it from the Muladhara chakra to the Svadhisthana chakra, and so on. Because this energy is like an unrestrained horse that you won't be able to tame. And people start to experience mental problems. Because their consciousness is in the Muladhara, Svadhisthana, Manipura. Very few people manage to raise that high outright. I don't advise doing it. However, when we practice Kriya Yoga Babaji, we invite the spirit, the energy, the transcendental power of Shakti. We invite. It's the essence of this practice. It is able to regulate everything on its own. Because only God knows what is best for you. When you invite God, you practice spirituality. When you invite Him and practice His presence, He will oversee the process Himself. He is the greatest teacher. You won't have to worry about what is going on with you. Because nothing will happen with you without His knowledge. This is how Kriya Babaji functions. But when we try to raise Kundalini, practicing, for instance, Shakti Shalini or other approaches to push through these chakras and activate them mechanically, we must be ready to accept the strong reaction triggered by this energy as soon as it awakes. Are you prepared for such mental responses? Will you be able to adequately behave in society? I'll say it again. I had to get people out of such states. It was Kriya that helped balance these states and tame the energy. Plus personal energy. So once this energy has awakened, maybe even mechanically, which is not a good, proper method, is it possible to ground this energy, or... Of course it's possible. A lucky one will find a way, or it will calm all by itself. Why does it awake? It awakes because astral plexuses and physically manifested plexuses are stimulated mechanically. This is a clot of energy. When chakras become very active, for which the person is not ready. If Kundalini awakes in a person on the spur of the moment, they may not even know about it. How they describe their states makes us understand that their Kundalini becomes active. Figuratively speaking, this is not a complete rise, not a complete awakening, but certain centers are involved. Many people message me describing their states, and when I talk to a person, I understand that these are people who don't practice, they don't know what it is, and I give them some advice. This energy awakes within these people because they accumulated it in their past life. When they are born, they already carry this energy within them, and sooner or later there comes a moment for it to awake. These states, these qualities start to awake. Those who mechanically stimulate their systems to awaken it must do it under the supervision of a master. I'm not sure that tens of thousands of people that awaken Kundalini. I'll use this term, although what they do is raising Kundalini. Again, these are different practices and there are different attitudes towards them. I'm not sure that all these people have a master standing near them to supervise these processes. I have come across several cases when people lost their mind. It was impossible to stop them. One of them died. It happened back in the 1980s. I didn't meet him in person, I just know about it. But I saw those whose sound mind finally failed them. We have to recover them step by step. But there are very few possibilities to do it. Because these people are usually sent to a hospital where they can be crammed with chemicals, God forbid. and they will hardly get back. Be careful with this. The best way is not to induce any state, but to pray and meditate and entrust yourself to God. Ishvara pranidhana, which means a great devotion to God. It is enough to serve. If you do not know how to do certain things, it's best not to do them. If your instructor says that you need to raise Kundalini in this or that way, it means that they haven't awakened their own Kundalini and will do it with you. Avoid it. In general, Kundalini can awaken, or let's even say raise, as the energy of Shakti, when a master touches one's forehead or heart, depending on the person's purpose. They can raise this energy up to the Manipura chakra, to the Anahata chakra, or even higher. It suggests that the person is ready for it, and the master easily does it. If the person is not ready, no one will induce this state in them. And these centers that initiate people in Kundalini raising. In the 1990s, Shoko Asahara also gathered people at stadiums to raise their Kundalini. Nothing good came of it. He left Pilot Baba thinking he was ready. Pilot Babaji is a famous Himalayan yogi, a Siddha. We cooperated closely, and we still keep in touch mentally and spiritually. He told him, "Don't rush, you are not ready yet." And in result, you know what happened to him. Avoid practicing or doing something you are not aware of. This is very serious. However, it doesn't mean you shouldn't work on something you don't know. Search, watch, study this question, do something, but very carefully. If you have no master, learn it through trial and error. In this case, you will be the only one responsible. But when you are really anxious to achieve it, there will always come someone to give you advice and show you the right direction. Try not to mistake the first comer for the master. As a rule, in the beginning of one's journey, there are a lot of traps. There may appear fake masters that could sweep you off your feet with an idea. Kundalini is so cool, will be the best of the best, and so on. This is wrong. It's a spiritual state, a state beyond ego. While on this topic, there is another question. What should people do if their Kundalini has awakened, or they think it has, and they feel that they have entered a very unusual state and can't handle it? What should they do in this situation? When a person has a high fever, they start to panic. If the fever reaches, say, 38.9 degrees Celsius, they start to panic. If the fever reaches 40 degrees Celsius or 41 degrees Celsius, they start to experience a serious mental problem, thinking they can die. But this is merely a fever, and they dash to a drugstore if they can move on their feet, or they urgently get infusions to reduce the fever. It means that the person is not ready for a high body temperature. How can they be ready then for the temperature of the universe? What should these people do? They should reduce the activity of the energy through relaxation. Sometimes this energy calms down rather fast. They shouldn't go back to the process until they learn to work with it. Because if the energy rises, it will be very hard to stop it. It can damage human channels and seriously hurt the psyche. If one doesn't have this opportunity, they should pray. I've already mentioned that there were people who just burnt down. Imagine, you know a yogic principle of the rainbow body. This term is used in Buddhism too. When people ignite very fast and disappear, their body is completely destroyed by fire. Just some parts, nails, hair, may remain. They can burn slowly, meaning it is a real fire, or very fast, as a bright flash. This is also fire, but more subtle and more powerful, and they disappear. Only their clothes remain. Or when the body is burning, nothing under the body is on fire, but the body is. This is a cold flame, but nonetheless the body burns down. All these are Kundalini elements. Internal organs can burn or ignite in the same way. It's not so obvious as when the body burns, but people feel an inner flame that destroys them. The channel system may start to burn. I don't want to frighten you. I know that many people keep insisting, I need it, and so on. This is a very serious matter. A matter of the entire universe. And before you begin doing something, you must get a clear understanding of what you are going to do. Or you can choose to entrust yourself to God. He really knows what's best for you. Then you should meditate and pray. Kundalini awoke in Saint Christian ascetics as well. And they became very enduring and powerful. They were strong. Why? They also had mental power, because energy formed certain qualities in a man. And what do they practice? They practice Kriya Yoga, but in a Christian way. Few people talk about it. I'm not trying to attract you to Kriya Yoga. I want to say that the real knowledge, the science of God realization, is the knowledge given by Shiva, Mahavatar Babaji. It's the source of all branches and systems. So if you want to awake Kundalini, do it when you know what to do next. You need knowledge. How can one tell that their Kundalini has manifested? There's a variety of different signs. I'll put it this way. It will be a universal answer because the list of all signs can be very, very long. All human responses are individual. Those whose Kundalini is awakened have no corporeal signs of it, but they feel continuous inspiration from the Creator's presence. There are no other signs. I'll explain why. If during Kundalini awakening people have a fever as a bodily response to this process, or experience severe pain in certain body parts, it's a sign of the resistance of the material. The channels can't withstand the energetic influence that is putting pressure upon them. There is a mighty flow of power. If you experience certain states or feel pain, or your body temperature changes, or your vibrations are very fast, you can call it a manifestation of Kundalini. Yes, it's a way that it manifests, but it means that your body is not prepared yet. But when you have a good conductivity, your body easily accepts this energy. Your body and energy become one. You won't experience any effect. If you have a fever, it means you experience an impact of a powerful force, energy. The temperature rises because your body resists. With good conductivity, the energy will flow evenly throughout your body, and your state will be even too.